And in short, type 1, or we call level 1, is a basic audit. And simply, it's just to more for like, I will say, is to quantify or qualify the building, whether there's a potential or there's any room for improvement. And this actually will be a basic, a quick survey tool with certain, there will not be much detailed work involved, but rather you are looking at the identify the potential. From a business side of view, if we're a service provider doing energy audit or doing an energy project itself, you will have used that method or use this approach to qualify the potential of the business, whether that is a business case. However, if you based on the building owner like yourself, you occupy the building or you are the operator itself. So these tools actually give you a first step to understand your building or your facility. Where are the area that there's opportunity or for room for improvement? The second level type of that will be require certain measurement. And this measurement, it can come from some we call a handheld instrument, or at times we also make use of the instrumentation available on site or within the facility to actually more or less to consolidate, collect data for us to do, or for you as an energy guy to do a understanding, evaluation of the potential. And you eventually come out with a proposal. And this proposal is not be going for in terms of quantity, but rather it should be quality. Quantity means that you do not require to write a report with 100 pages. And what we are trying to do is for level 2 audit or type 2 audit is identify the area of potential and categorize them. And in terms of we call a short term, medium term, and long term. And the last type will be we call type 3 or level 3. So in general, if you hear about energy audit or detailed feasibility study, DFS in short, or in some part of the country or the world, they call IGA, investment grade audit. And this is where the majority of the work involved and it's quite extensive, which means that physically there will be instrumentation deployed across the system, or that they will be conducting any studies, and time will be spent on site to look at the facility, understand how the system works, but not just looking for problem that the system is facing. And then at the same time, with this study itself, after you collect the data, you also will do some review and analysis, come with some improvement measure or proposal. And with all this improvement proposal, you also will require to communicate with the vendors, suppliers, or contractors to get certain budget or indication of cost to invest. And that form out the entire proposal as the investment to improvement work. And with all this improvement work, also versus based on the analysis that you carry out on the energy data, that what are the potential of energy reduction or energy saving. That would actually help you to substantiate your proposal and translate that based on a term called ROI, return on investment. And all this involve measurement involve, it may not be 1 day or 2 days. In some system itself, you may have to deploy the instrument there for at least 3 weeks to 4 weeks. And that helps us to carry out a more detailed data collection that enable us to understand the system it run, not just for a day-to-day routine. During energy audit, we also try to understand the equipment from its start to its maximum operation, or we call loading. And at every stage, what are the energy consumed and how the system respond to the demand or the requirement from the ground or the field site. So that's a 3-level audit. And what is needed in all these audits? Okay. And what we need is all the information for the process itself. And by the way, for energy audit, it can be so-called defined on a certain location basis. For example, you can carry an energy audit for a whole production plant or full facility, or you can only carry out this only within your production line, okay, in terms of the compressor system, or you also do it sometime in the entire, like in Singapore or in this part of the region that we use a lot on air conditioning. So very commonly also you will see people conduct audit just purely on the chiller plant and how the chill water system or the aircon system being used and what's the performance. And with all this information that you want to collect, what actually we are trying to establish, we call the baseline, the point of reference, and also understand how the energy is being used and distributed across the facility or the production line. And from all this data, it also gives us indication on how system perform when it is subject to other certain loading condition, and that's why I establish the load factors. And also at times that we're also looking at when the load is at a certain level, how the equipment react. So this will be the study carried out to help us understand better on the equipment. And then find the best way to actually operate the system. And field data collection for level 2 audit. And sometime in some location, I will be open to use also BMS data or SCADA data. But condition is that we need to verify whether all this instrumentation or data collection or collected from the field site, are they actually logical or are they realistic? So this will be some form of what we call a validation of data before you actually use the information or collected data as analysis. And that boils down a lot that how much actually the budget available. To conduct a full detailed audit itself is not cheap. Okay, reason being that the deployment of instrumentation from the service provider and the more effort required, not just to purely just get a temperature of the we call in the space. At times, we may even require to shut down a system to install a power meter, for example, or even we need to open up your installation either on a hot water system or on a chill water system to actually install the instruments. So all this require cost, and that's actually why it will not be a free service. And in terms of collection, whether it should be what type of collection method to be applied, whether you should do on we call per minute per sampling type. Of course, in Singapore, we use per minute sampling in chill water system. So to some part of the world, they feel that Singaporeans are crazy, overdoing. But there's a reason behind.